those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
There we go. Now we've got some sound there. Couldn't hear anything. This is CJ, and my co-host is currently delayed. He had a meeting that he had to attend. So I'm going to get right to the show today. First off, I want to address something. Yesterday, we posted on our Spindle City Straight Talk site that we had a slight problem with some information that had been shared. So Spindle City Straight Talk and South Coast Media had been talking with Walmart and Sam's Club for some time. And when we did that, we were doing it because a couple of local nonprofits, including some of the neighborhood associations, wanted to use the Sam's Club parking lot for use as a carnival site and event site like car shows and things like that. So I was going through with the vice presidents there. I also, at that time, was looking at the fact that there was some issues arising out of that property that weren't being addressed. At that time, we found out that the property was up for sale. It was not under contract. It was not under lease, and they were not renting it. It is against Walmart policy to have carnivals and events in their parking lot. They don't do it. They don't feel that it presents Walmart in the most positive light. Although that was happening in Seekonk, and I'm not sure how they're going to address that issue, but that's neither here nor there. At the same time, a city councilor, Laliberte-Lebeau, was going around trying to figure out what was going on with that property. And that's her job as a city councilor, to find out what's happening. And she didn't like the fact that the area had been overgrown as well. Laliberte-Lebeau yesterday made it very clear that she was only trying to, find out what was going on and what happened with the property and with it being overgrown. No problem. But she was also saying that she believed it was under contract to a self-storage facility. And she had approached Ken Fiola, which I don't understand why she would go to Ken Fiola unless it was just for the connections he may have to the various industries to connect with Walmart to have them clean up the area. It was overgrown. And one of the local community groups wanted to go and clean it up. And she was hoping that it wouldn't have to happen. Now, we had done the same thing. We had approached that. We sent the pictures to Walmart, and they had addressed it. And they were looking at it. They were getting confirmation from the store manager in Fall River, and they were hiring a contractor for it. So it was multiple areas. Nobody was trying to take credit. Nobody was trying to make anybody look bad. Nobody was trying to deprive anyone of what's happening. But this city is so full of bullshit that we can't believe a word any elected official says. And, yesterday we got into what I like to call the war of words with Laliberte-Lebeau in regards to this issue. And, everyone becomes a Facebook warrior. And I have serious problems with Facebook warriors because nothing happens. If you got a problem, give me a phone call. You have my number. Everybody has my number. Okay? It's in the book. And I'm not going to get into a keyboard war with anyone any longer. When you make the comments, if they're inappropriate, if we don't like them, they will come off the pages. We agree everyone should have the ability to make their statements and say what they need to say. But again, we're not going to get into a war. I have no problem. There was no axe to grind here. At this point in time, the people are not believing anything that the administration, the city council, the school committee, anything anyone's saying. So what part of this do our elected officials not understand in Fall River? Look at Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders people, CNN said it was a handful of people. It was hundreds of people who walked out of the convention and stood out front and almost got arrested. because the Democratic Party is practicing fascism. They're not letting the people's voice be heard. And that's what Fall River does. And that's what the Fall River electorate does and the Fall River elected officials do. And you know what? I'm done with that. And I don't care. We are not going to get into a war of words with you people. You want to believe our information's biased? Fine. Commentaries are biased. They're based on our personal opinions and our personal beliefs. But I can tell you now that even our commentaries are based in fact. And everything we have is factual about what we present. The Sam's Club building is up for sale for $5.8 million. They plan to subdivide the property and just sell the Samsung portion for $5.8, and they're hoping to subdivide the gas station off the rest of the property and sell that separately. That's what they're looking at doing. They were going to clean up that area anyhow because they have to make it presentable to somebody who may be wishing to buy it. They don't want it to look like the Lincoln School or the Hartwell Street School, the former Sylvia School, which looks like it's run down, dilapidated, and ready to fall apart because the city can't keep control of their own property. But City Councilor Lebeau wants to make sure that a private entity takes care of theirs. Clean up your own house before you go out and make other people try to clean up theirs. This is getting to be ridiculous. I'm not going to get into this with people anymore. Don't demand that the public do something that you are unwilling to do as a city official. You may personally want to go out and clean it up, and that's fine. I'm very grateful for that, and all praise to you for that. But when the city starts cleaning up its own crap, then maybe the city can demand that everyone else do it, and not until that point. Oh, with that, my co-host, I yield.
I apologize for being a little late, but I was at another meeting. But I understand. I understand your frustration, CJ. I'm frustrated too because we've got so many things. Unemployment rates rise across Greater Fall River. The same old, same old. But what bothers me? It's that we began to do this show for a reason. We wanted to inform the people, educate the voters, and have the voters vote intelligently. The problem is that there are two kinds of basic people. There are political activists and political hacks. And when you complain about the political hacks condemning you for doing something like the recall, and then when your guy gets in, you think that everything he does is okay, you are no longer a political activist, you're a political hack. And this is the problem. The problem is that if someone, and we've said it a million times, listen, this is not, personal is personal, and they personalize it, and they call you names, and they call you everything. They call you personally, and me personally, names. And the thing is, if I have a personal opinion about their political stance, that's about their political stance. I separate personal and political, as I do with everything else. But what boggles my mind is when people say, I like my mechanic. Well, you don't really like him unless he's your next door neighbor and you have a burger with him, and that's got nothing to do with his ability as a mechanic. I like my mechanic too, but it's a quid pro quo. I like him because he fixes my car on the first try at a reasonable rate. And when he stops doing that, I may not dislike him, but he won't be my mechanic anymore. And this is what you have to do with politicians. And it just boggles my mind how people can go, oh, I like this kid, so anything he does I can't condemn because I was with him. And then they say, oh, how come you're attacking him? Well, if he does something right, he does something right. But when he does something wrong, it's wrong. When you are attached at the hip, and you can do no wrong, that person can do no wrong because you happen to support him, you are not a political activist, you are a political hack. That's what you are. That's the definition of what you are. It's like people who go, everybody who does this is wrong except when my kid does it, and then Johnny had a reason for that. He didn't mean to do it. It wasn't his fault. Well, you don't not love your children, but when they do something wrong, it's wrong. Now let's get back to the reality of look what's happening in this nation. I'm looking at the Democratic National Convention and I'm getting nauseous. Now they're blaming Russia for hacking Hillary's emails, and now it's a communist conspiracy to overthrow Hillary. Well, guess what? Has anybody in this country, and especially the people in the Democratic Party and the bunch of sheep that they got in that hall, that convention hall, have they forgotten the fact that the Democratic Party basically told their members, F you. It's, you know, it's no longer a theory. It's no longer an idea. The fix was in. And more than the fix was in, we have a political party in a nation that is supposed to be run by the people, for the people. The political party comes out and says, I don't give two shits who you want to be the president. We're going to select the president. We'll only let you think you're selecting him if you pick the same people, the same person that we want. That's not only anti-American, it's fascist. Everybody's forgetting that. They're trying to muddy the water with the Russians did it. I don't care who did it. I don't care who did it.
It's done.
They've proven that the will of the people came secondary to the party. And you know what that is? Where do they talk about the party? Russia. That's where the party comes first and the people are secondary. And everybody's forgetting that. It's disgraceful. And I don't care if they think their candidate's better than the Republican candidate. The Republicans tried it too. I'm not absolving them. They tried everything they could to get rid of Donald Trump. But at least the people prevailed. I mean, the Democrats went to the extent of giving her an unlevel playing field to make sure she secured the nomination, and they went on record as saying they didn't care if Bernie Sanders got the votes necessary to be nominated. The superdelegates were going to override them. So in other words, to hell with you Democrats, to hell with you people, to hell with you liberals, or whatever you want to call them, or whatever label you want to put. That's the whole point. The whole point is we live in supposedly a republic, which means a representative form of government. Who the hell are they representing? They're not representing you if you're a Democrat, and nobody's pissed about that. There's let's everybody forget it. Don't be ridiculous. Forget about it. You know, you forget about it. We got to all get together because we can't have Donald. Oh, the Russians did it. It's all smoke and mirrors to get you away from looking at what really happened here today in this year. They proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that the people of this nation do not select their government. And whether it's rich people or Democratic national committees, they've proven beyond the shadow of a doubt that we don't really select. And what should come out of this, and I'm not saying that if you believe that Hillary's the best candidate, you vote for her, or Donald Trump's the best candidate, you don't vote for her. But let's not forget the most important lesson and the most important thing that came out of this convention. That is, the people have to rise up and change the way business is done. You don't use, we thought it was best for the party. That's not America. In America, you get to be the lone dissenter. You can stand up and you can offer a minority report. That's what makes America great. And I don't have problems with people dissenting. But I do have a problem when the majority doesn't rule, because that's what this government's supposed to be. You can be the only person in a crowd to stand up, and you have the right to walk to a mic and say, I think the other 17,000 people are full of crap. I think you're all wrong. And then to vote 17,000 to 1. So you lost, but you got to say your piece. And you shouldn't be condemned for having a different opinion. You shouldn't be attacked personally. You can be attacked on why that position is ridiculous. But, when you begin to make personal comments because you dislike a position of a person, not on the issue and not debating the issue, then you're a political hack. And, this country is not going to change until the voters, who are now irate, stay irate enough to change the fundamental system. I said a couple of years ago on this show, all this stuff is all a myth. The only choice you have in this country, the only real choice you have, is paper, plastic, or green bag when you go to the supermarket.
You can't get plastic.
Everything else, they just let you think that you run the country, that you make the selection. And they only let you think that as long as you're picking the person they want you to pick. I mean, it didn't start here. Our forefathers created the Electoral College. Why? Because they didn't want the idiots to select the president. Congressmen were appointed. Why? They felt the people were too dumb. And they still do. The Democratic Party basically said to Democrats, you people are idiots. We don't want Bernie Sanders, and we know better than you do. And this is not a democracy. This party is not a democracy. We're gonna cheat. We're gonna make the playing field unlevel, and we're gonna make sure that even if he does get the votes, he's not gonna be the presidential nominee, because we'll use our super delegates. So let's see, the election is the election. Let's separate the election. Let's see if when this election is over, the movement to change both parties continues. Then you're a political activist. When you can stand up and say it's wrong. And when you can vote for a person, and then when that person does not do the right thing, you can say, I'm no longer going to contribute to your campaign, I'm no longer going to vote for you, and what you did was wrong. They don't get a pass. There's no passes. You're either doing right or wrong. And if you're a person who was a quote-unquote activist, then all of a sudden when one of your friends gets in, and then everything they do, you acquiesce, which is to assent by silence, or you defend them like some of these parents do that we see today. It's never my Johnny's fault. Johnny burnt down a school. It's not his fault. He's got attention deficit disorder. Oh, he had a bad day. He had difficulty during potty training. And, that's the fact. There's no consequences. There's no accountability. But the problem is there is accountability. Your auto mechanic has accountability. If you're one of the people, if you take your car to a guy that can't fix your car and continue to pay him, please send us an email. I'd like to know who you are. I know a whole bunch of incompetent people that are trying to stay in business that want people just like you. But I don't take my car to somebody who can't fix it. I don't take my washing machine to somebody who can't fix it. I don't hire somebody to do my electrical work that can't do it. But we hire the people who run our government, who hold our very lives in their hands with their legislation, who have destroyed this nation, have destroyed the middle class. And for them, it's like, oh, I don't care. He's a friend of mine, or he gave me a street light. It's amazing when the people with the most important job in this nation, running it and running cities, are held to the same criteria a spoiled child is, which is nothing. No consequences, no accountability. And when people finally realize that these people are working for you, you hired them. when you voted for them. You hired them. They didn't become your boss when you elected them. They became your employee. And just like any employee, when they're not doing the job, you're not supposed to, you fire them or you don't support them. And if you do, and if you turn your head in a blind eye when they do something wrong, don't kid yourself. You can call everybody all the names you want. You're nothing more than a political hack. And for all the people who got pissed off with what the Flanagan people called the recallers, and then are now doing the same thing, look in the mirror. You're doing the same thing. So your credibility your credibility's gone. Somebody who truly says, I want to change the system, fights against everything that's wrong, no matter who does it.
And
because you got to be willing to write up your mother if she violates the law.
And, you know, that's what I try to tell people.
Volume.
Oh, okay, hold on. That's what I constantly try to tell people.
It's still low, see.
Oh, interesting. Any better now?
No.
Okay. Well, we'll get there eventually. The thing that people don't understand is...
You're barely audible.
I've got it cranked, so...
Change mics?
No, it's the same mic. We've had these problems before. The gremlins are about, that's all. You know, the thing is that the people don't understand. We don't have an axe to grind. And we're not grinding any axes. Okay? This is, you did wrong, we call you out for it. And you said this at the beginning of the election cycle last year. If they do what's right, we stay off their back. If they do what's wrong, we're going to be all over them. But I only have we're really behind schedule here. Let's talk about a few things. Tech ed position to return to Spencer Board, and we spoke about that before the budget hearings. Guess what? It went. And then they said, oh, well, you know, and even Ed Kostar said this. So again, Ed Kostar, you just shot your credibility out the window with me. Oh, no, this school can't open without one. It'll be the only school in the system that doesn't have one. Yet it's the only school in the system that has one. So how can you say that, oh, you know, this is what's going to happen? We knew this was going to happen because Pam Lebeau made a deal with the mayor to give her the vote for the budget to get this teacher in this school. Guess what? Here's the proof. Now, our school system is in such degrading condition. We're so wonderful. Everyone wants to work here. 111 teachers open. Less than 30 days to hire them. 111 open teaching positions in the Fall River Public School System. School district launches recruitment effort. Who wants to work in Fall River? Honestly. You wonder what's going on? Hey, we're number 6. We are number 6. Do you believe that? We're number 6. I love that. We have the 6th highest unemployment rate in the state.
Well,
we went from 6.2 to 6.8.
We're moving, but you got to remember, there's 351 cities and towns in the state of Massachusetts. So if we have the 6th highest unemployment rate, what does that mean?
You know what?
There you go, CJ. You did all that. We are 340. There are 345 cities and towns with lower unemployment rates than we have, and only 5 with higher unemployment rates. So we're always in the top 10 in that category. Sometimes we're in the top 3, and many times we're number 1. So again, kudos to the people.
And our unemployment rate is so high, yet no one in Fall River can get a job at Amazon.
Just a tad now. There you go.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, now you're good. Good.
But you know, nobody can get a job at Amazon. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, well, you know, this is the problem. We have teaching positions open because nobody wants to teach here. Right. And then they're going to say, well, pay them more. Well, you know, it's not the pay. It's the environment. It's the overall environment. And it's just like everything else. You're trying to put lipstick on a pig and sell a pig. You want to rebrand. You know, we've got to fix this city from the bottom up. And the first thing we've got to do is make everybody understand that this city is fiduciarily responsible for its money. For its money. And that means that we're going to, you know, we continue to hire chiefs and have no Indians.
Are you sure about that, though? Because,
Yeah,
look.
no, your audio is fluctuating all over the place.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to adjust
You
it
know,
accordingly.
but it's like, we can't, we have to, I mean, we've seen all these new hires, people without resumes or doctored resumes and $80,000, $90,000, $97,000 a year jobs, and then we see the DPW worker. Nobody gives a crap about them anymore. Screw it. Nobody cares about the guy at the bottom of the total poll. Last hired, first fired. Well, a city, I hate to tell you this, but a city is supposed to have a very limited hierarchy, because the fact is, city's only job is to keep the public safe, to pick up the trash, and provide services to the taxpayer, because we are the owners of this city. And what do we get? We get chiefs of staff, we get DPW guys making $80,000 when they got a resume that wouldn't qualify them to get, they'd be an assistant manager at Walmart and they're getting $80,000, and
$5,000
and
raises
we've
after
already
6
seen
months.
Mark Monroe article about if you want to get a good job, suck up to the mayor and you'll get a job somewhere doing something for a lot of money. But do we have people? The people at the bottom of the totem pole. This is what government. If you look at the cities and the states that do the best, they have small government, and their concentration is on delivering services to the people. If you look at Tennessee and Indiana and these places, they have low taxes, they deliver a lot of constituent service, and they don't have a lot of bureaucracy. I think, was it Indiana they cut like 25% of the state jobs?
Something like that.
And what? What? 25% cut jobs? Are you kidding me? If you cut 25% of the jobs in Fall River, it'll be all the people who work for a living. When's the last time you saw an administrator, regardless of how incompetent, regardless of how many mistakes they made, when's the last time you saw an administrator or a department head fired? Even when they're totally incompetent, they usually say, we can't get rid of them, they got a buyout clause. We can't get rid of them because of this, we can't get... and what do they do to them? They shift them over to another department and give them another pay raise or something like that. It's like, the rumor is Kathy Ann's going to go over to the Housing Authority. She only got a 1-year contract. She'll go over to the Housing Authority. Another political trough dipper, former state representative Sullivan, who bumped his pension up from about $70,000 to $165,000, so he'll be making twice as much as he was making as a state rep. I said senator, I apologize. As a state rep, because he grabbed the Housing Authority, which he wasn't qualified for, but who cares? It's another political job.
Yeah, but we have fiduciary responsibility you're talking about. Guess what? I don't see much of it anywhere. You know why? Well, let's see. 450 scofflaws owe taxes to Fall River. Okay? Companies that aren't even here anymore, and we're still going after them, like Duro.
Duro, Jesus.
Okay?
Duro.
Duro,
yeah, but we're not only going after one Duro.
Yeah, there's several properties.
There's several properties, yeah.
Alfred Elmeda properties.
You mean the former fire commissioner?
Yeah, come on.
Who owned a funeral parlor?
Yeah, but
he passed away, didn't he?
I think so. So how come nobody's going after...
Good luck getting the money from him.
Yeah, well, how come nobody's going after these? How come nobody is touching these taxes? They've been sitting around since the Sutter Administration, since the Flanagan Administration. Nobody's pursuing them.
But put a green bag in your trash and you'll get fined. So stay angry, everybody.
That's for sure. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.